can I ask you a question, brother? Are you
So
ever work for
pro.
like a radio station? Preferably after hours, by any chance?
She said
No,
so
but
pro.
I've been given.
Oh my god.
I've been told that I have. I've been told that I had a voice that penetrates deep.
Okay, yeah. I'll tell you what. You keep the mic. How about that? You keep the goddamn mic. How about that? We
Marcus
Hey,
mic.
just look. I know we about to, because we stopped, right? Is this, are we keeping going?
I didn't think we stopped.
Oh.
Yeah, you just stopped it.
No, like for real, like really, I was about to just get seductive on the mic. So,
Oh, yeah, you could have got seductive. Seductive, welcome on the show.
are you listening? 88. No. Radio station 86.
Hey, peace everybody, and welcome back to the Black Year Podcast, where we talk about land, food, and liberation. Man, it's good to see y'all. Thank y'all for coming back, and we here today.
Y'all?
I guess I'm gonna ask you to introduce
You ain't gotta do it. I'm already ready to introduce you.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Yeah. What it is, y'all? It's your girl J Baby, and I'm here with my man Swag Lee. And
Yeah, hey everybody, I'm Lee. We've been over this the last couple episodes. If y'all been staying tuned in, we're gonna get the Dwag Lee and Lee Dwag thing together. But it's not just me here today, man. Or it's not just us here. We got somebody else here today that I'm excited to introduce. Brother Eric Jackson. And yeah, Eric, tell him about yourself, man. Tell him what you're connected to. Tell him how you doing it.
Man, I'm excited to be here. For real, the topic, and I can't tell them who I am.
Can't tell them who you are.
Nah, I mean,
just a little bit, like.
Y'all gotta pay for that.
Well,
like this much.
The Black Yield Podcast is connected to Black Yield Institute.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a servant director of Black Yield Institute.
The servant? What?
Director.
Let a man.
That's I'm just out here.
Like, no.
No, I'm just out here.
Yeah,
Boss
you
is
are.
out here.
No, I really appreciate you for coming on. Man, it's good to have you on.
Oh, I'm excited because I'm usually behind the camera.
This gonna be a good episode, man. So, without further ado, let me bring up our topic, man. Our topic for today is gonna be food apartheid. Food apartheid.
Pulling up, taking a
Food apartheid. Yeah. Oh, it's we're gonna do a lot of taking apart, and we're gonna put some people back together.
You gonna
today.
have to
Do
break
hear
that
me?
down because some people might not know what that
Yeah,
is.
Oh, I'm gonna break it down so it can forever be
So,
broken.
because look,
You
the
don't
whole
even gotta
thing
worry about
is
it.
we're gonna tear apart food apartheid. So by the end of the podcast, it's like,
Oh, that's the word y'all made up?
I mean, we ain't making it up. We just keeping it going. That's
Yeah.
all. We're gonna talk about it today.
Oh.
Yeah, we definitely, yeah, man. So
That's why you can't listen to all the big words that you don't know because I
But you
really
do
thought
know.
that was a word in the dictionary.
It is. No, but I think, I guess we'll talk about it. But the thing is, what's most important, as I'm getting older, definitions ain't the most thing that's important. It's
Wow.
the meaning. Everybody know the meaning of food apartheid. They may never use the words. So we'll just attach the word to people's lived experience.
can we quote that? Like put that in quotes on like the box or something? Is that no, that's powerful, man. That's powerful. That's powerful. Look, without further ado, man, we about to get into it. But before we jump into our
Alright.
topic, of course, we gotta play one of our games.
Oh, I heard about
Okay.
these games.
We gotta play one of our games.
I ain't never
Let's
been in
get
it.
it.
Which one you think about today? I'm thinking what? Maybe what did we play with? Fast food?
We already did that.
I mean, do we want to do something different? What we
I
wanna
don't
do?
care. Go. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, so let's do this, brother. So we play a game where you are what you eat,
Okay.
and in that game you have to identify yourself as a food, tell us what you are, where you are, what you're doing, and we have to guess what food you are. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Make sense? All right. So we're gonna give you about 8 seconds.
I
to
don't
think
even need
about
it.
I thought I should give you 3. Then. Okay, well, here we are.
Ready?
I'm ready. Break it down for us.
My house is a can.
The house is a can.
Tuna
And
fish.
within myself,
Mhm.
I have several components.
Well, you in a can.
Yeah.
You made up of a lot of components.
A lot of components.
Uh-huh.
I am good on diggity dogs. You can put me on nachos, and I go well with my best friend cheese.
you good on diggity dogs. I'm assuming those are hot dogs.
Beef?
Glizzies.
AKA glizzies. AKA glizzies. You good on the glizzies, and you said you like
even whether it's regular bread or buns.
you good on both the bread and the buns on the glizzy.
Oh, you like
so
both.
you go on top of the glizzies on the bun, and you go on top of the glizzies on the bread.
What?
Yeah.
Alright,
You can just eat me straight in the buns if you want.
What? You?
Not you per
No,
se.
I know not me. God damn it, I know not me per se. We alright.
And
let's get clear.
They did a show
I'm not talking about it. I ain't talking about me. I'm talking about the food I eat.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay, that's where we always at.
I don't know. I said sauerkraut.
In the
Sauerkraut.
can though.
Yeah, sauerkraut coming again.
Okay,
I said tuna fish at first.
Bro,
components.
we live in the
You
hood.
go
It
on
come
the
in the
dog. It come in a can. You go on the dog. You go on nachos. I'm narrowing this thing down. And you say your best friend is cheese. Best friend is cheese. Can't be ham because ham don't be going on.
Jordan over there like, he don't even know what it is.
No, I know what
The
it is.
engineer already know.
Best friend is
Alright.
cheese. And you said we can eat you
Right.
without what?
Huh?
What you say? What you say about the hot dogs and the bread and all that stuff?
You can eat me on glizzies. I go well with glizzies, and I go well.
You come in a can though? You go well with this?
Yeah,
I don't know what type of food this is.
yeah. I can come in a can.
I'm just gonna shoot.
Oh, how about this? I'll give another piece. I can come in a can, or I can live in a pot after you. You know what I'm saying? After you make me up for all the
What?
components.
After you make me up with all the components.
Yeah, you
That
said
was
do you
just
come
a
in a can,
creepy
and
turnaround.
I'm saying that you could come in a can, or you can make me homemade
I give
from
up.
scratch.
So you go on top of a dog. Chili.
My mother.
I'm the guy.
Yo,
I'm telling
did
you,
y'all
I'm
not
the
already
guy,
hear
yo.
me say chili?
You
I'm
said
the
chili?
guy.
I said chili 20 minutes
No,
ago.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I swear the only thing I heard at least 17 times was sauerkraut.
No, that is so crazy.
Yeah, I said sauerkraut. No, it ain't
I
sauerkraut.
just want to
Didn't I say sauerkraut?
But I really did. I said beef chili.
We lie ourselves.
Chili, yo.
Beef chili? No, I ain't even hear that.
All
My
right.
bad.
That's
Yes,
good,
yeah,
yo.
yes,
Hey, you said real
No,
good.
y'all just
No,
trying
I
to
didn't
say
hear
it
you.
Because I
same.
really couldn't find
You
it for
need
me. I'm
another
like, what
female.
I didn't hear
what
you.
the hell
I'm
comes
gonna
in
be
a
clear.
can?
Like, all right, whatever. I
And it
just
go
didn't
on the
hear you.
glizzy.
You was right.
And then you said you could eat it without. I'm like, oh, you know, you took me for a leap there. Okay, no, that was really good. Hey, that's a good round. You are what you eat. And he turned out to be chili. That's a good round, yo. Chili and cheese, best
Yeah.
friends. That's a good.
Oh, I could have said I come with T-bars and left eye too. TLC.
We're gonna jump into the topic of the day. We're gonna start talking about food apartheid, and of course, for those who are listening, and this is the first time you may have ever heard the term food apartheid. It's the first time you come in contact with it. And I want to be clear, Brother Eric said something powerful earlier today. He said, you know what it means. You may just not have had a definition for it up to this point. So, without further ado, I'll provide you with the actual definition of what food apartheid is, also along with the explanation of the definition as well, or breaking it down even further.
Make sure y'all taking notes of this stuff too.
Yeah, get a pen, write it down. Get a pen, write it down. People, no, I ain't gonna.
Probably not.
All right, so check us out. What is food apartheid? Food apartheid is the structural oppression based on race and class that limits access to power and resources related to food and land, and it results in poor health and poor people. All right? Further ado, breaking it down a little more, it's the systematic destruction of black self-determination to control our food, whether by exclusion from agriculture industries, lack of access to arable lands and healthy foods, predatory marketing and capitalism,
Well,
or other blatant and subtle racist and discriminatory food systems.
amen.
This inequity is marked by segregation, extreme and concentrated health problems, and low rates of land ownership.
So that's what I said. We
Low
know
rates
what
of
it is.
Land ownership. Yes,
We
sir.
know what it is. We
Yes, sir.
experience it every day. If you live in
Yes, sir.
any hood in America, you've experienced food apartheid.
Yep.
When you see that all the businesses that's providing you food has food that doesn't have high nutrients, that most of the food is sugar packed, and the food has a lot of sodium,
Right.
and the food can lead to diabetes
Absolutely.
and hypertension or high blood pressure, as it's called, or for some people for diabetes, the sugar, whatever you call a disease, whatever, diet-related issues.
Right.
You've seen it.
Right.
It also looks like your elders and the people that you come from passing on soon.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Passing in their 40s, 50s, and 60s
Right.
from heart attacks and all that kind of stuff. It looked like you not having community, you're not as a community able to decide what foods are available in your own community, and only food that you have is what another race tell you can have.
Right.
It looked
Yeah.
like you giving your money to somebody else, they leave and go back to their community and building it up. Y'all seen it?
Extraction.
That's
yeah.
what food part. It looked like extractive economics, right? Like,
Yeah.
and it also looks like, unfortunately, when you go in there, you can find more tobacco products than you can find fresh foods.
Absolutely.
You've seen it.
Absolutely.
You feel me?
I've lived in it. Yeah.
We've lived in
absolutely.
it. We all have. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm saying that to say, like, I appreciate you giving the definition, but as I said earlier, that's the thing. We may not call it food apartheid, but the idea of apartheid
Yeah.
is this idea of, like, people, if people might notice the system of apartheid from South Africa.
Right.
And South Africa had this legal system, right, where people were separated by race. And if you were colored in their context, or black in their context, or, well, yeah, black or colored in their context. Colored in their context was like mixed people.
Right.
Black was black, and then he had the Afrikaans, which were Dutch people. They were the white folks, right?
Right.
The white folks, they lived separately. They were segregated. Their schools were segregated. They had better resources.
Everything, yeah.
And the legal system said that it's legal for them to be separate, right? That's what food apartheid is. If you go to my hood being Cherry Hill, I know y'all talked about it in South Baltimore, a historically black community, you're going to have all the conditions I just talked about.
Right.
But if you go right up the road, not even 20 minutes to the northern part of Park Heights that have largely white Jewish community, you're going to have Jewish shops, you're going to have Jewish this, you're going to even have Hebrew as a part of, like, you talking about in the same city, seeing different experiences. You feel me? That's apartheid.
Right.
Where some people can control their environments and other people can't. But it's ultimately about power.
Right.
And that's why, you know what I'm saying, I love this podcast, and I love the work that many people are doing to address it, because it's about building power.
Right.
It ain't just giving people food. You know what I mean?
No, absolutely. Absolutely, man. It's interesting because we say this a lot of times on the show, but we always have to admit that, like, the food system has normalized us to these ways of living that you know what I mean, that we're still in today, to be honest with you. But how would you circle around and for folks who are listening, break down how oppression is actually involved inside of food apartheid? Because to a lot of folks' knowledge, folks are passing on early. The different kind of diseases and diabetes that run in my family, right? Folks have become, like, normalized. Like, it's like it's something to live with more than it has been an issue. And what we're talking about right here, right now, is a way to combat that, a way to fix a problem that has been handed to us. You know what I mean? Versus something that we picked up along the way. So how would you break that down for them?
So I would say first that when we talk about oppression, like, one, the biggest, what would you say, umbrella answer to that is we don't have to live like that. Right? Other people have decided that, and it's not me saying we don't have to live like that, so do something different. That's a part of it.
Right.
But more importantly, we got to acknowledge that it's our human right to have affordable, fresh, and culturally appropriate food all the time. It's a human right, just by virtue of you being born from your mother and father, whether your mother and father there or not. Whoever you raised by, it don't matter. And it don't matter what your skin color is, what your sexual orientation is, what your gender is, what social economic status you have, how much money you got, how nappy your hair is. And if you can see me on the joint, my joint is beautiful, and I love my kinky hair. I love it. But I guess my point in saying this is none of that stuff should matter. You feel me? The basis of you being a human being, you should have food that your ancestors had. You should be able to get it where you want to, and it should be readily available, right? And you being a black person, a poor person, and a woman who largely run your family, you shouldn't be relegated to Family Dollar when other people go to grocery stores.
Absolutely.
You shouldn't be relegated to a Korean-owned carry-out when other people can start their own businesses or have the type of food to cook at their own homes. You feel me? Like, that's where the oppression happens.
Absolutely.
Where other people can have their human rights fully operationalized, and other people gotta settle for, you know what I'm saying? Take what you give me for generations. You feel me? When the only quote-unquote good food you get, you gotta stand in the line.
Right.
You know what I mean? And get boxes of food. Yo, that's oppressive. Ain't no dignity in that. And ain't nothing wrong with that. But why for 3 generations we've been standing in lines? You feel me?
That's real.
We standing in lines for generations. Now, if you gotta do it to get over, cool. But you've been on welfare, your grandmother, you know, all of this, and the USDA and other government entities are feeding you.
It's almost like
that's oppressive.
Okay. It's almost like it's gonna be okay because we got that.
You feel me? Yeah. Our social safety nets end up being a problem, and I'm not saying nothing wrong with those. I mean, I grew up in the projects, public housing. I grew up with independence cards, and if you don't know what an independence card is in Maryland, it is what connects us to EBT or food stamps. We had that growing up, no question about that. We had Section 8. We had all the things that government allow you to have. I'm not saying nothing wrong with those things, but when that is our way of surviving, that is dehumanizing.
Absolutely.
You feel me?
Absolutely.
When you can't decide what food you want in your community, when you can't decide if you don't want to die from diabetes, because the statistics tell me that I'm going to die 69 years after I'm born, just because of where I live. Come on, yo. That's oppressive. Right. You want to talk about where's the oppression? My question is where it ain't. Anyway, y'all got me started. Why y'all ask me to come on here?
Look, I ain't saying not one word. I'm sitting here like, preach, baby.
My fault.
No, man, no, that's powerful, bro. That's powerful, man. And it makes me think a lot about even going deeper into how it shows up in our communities, right? Like right here on the ground, right? Like you talked about the different programs or assisting programs that we've had growing up, right? The Section 8s, the food pantries, the different ways that we were able to get these things quote unquote for free, right? And have these understandings that these things will be here to lean on in times of emergency for our people generally, because you don't really hear too much about any white folks having to, you know what I mean, at least that's not in our community, having to lean on those programs, right? So it's interesting, right? You talk about it being on the ground, and we talk about being in these grocery stores and not having the foods that we choose, not even having the choice of what kind of foods go in the stores. And I want to dive deep into, like, what does it even mean, right, for folks today who walking around getting in their cars and still shopping, to be disconnected, right? Because I'm sure, and like I said, we said it before, but being normalized, like it's almost like, do you know you have an option? It's almost like, do you know you have an option? Because it's easy to say you have an option, right? Which may be true, but if you don't know, do you really have one, right? And I'll reference Kevin Gates, man. I just watched his tour on YouTube, Analyst His Music, where he said, if you don't take a chance, you never had a chance, right? So like, if you don't, you know, how you gonna choose an option if you don't even know that there is a better way, right? If you're so stuck inside of this space of living. So I want to dive deep into that. I want to dive deep into what does it look like on the ground, right? We talked about it being disconnected. We talked about folks moving inside of our neighborhood, starting businesses and keeping businesses inside of the neighborhood, passing it down in their family. Not a question of how we want to eat, not a question of what we want to buy from them, not a question of what's... No priority of black people, man, inside of their own community is essentially at the core of it, and ultimately it results to the imbalances of power that constantly are just afforded by for the apartheid. But I don't want to go on a lot. I want to know your thoughts on it as well.
What's your question again?
Yeah, man. So I want to dig deeper, man. Excuse me. I want to dig deeper. So what I want to know is, what is food apartheid, or how does it play out in our communities, right? And I guess we talking about cause and effects. And we said it before, right? But I'm picking on Ashley now. But if I come in your house, Ashley, right? If I come in your house and I take all your food out the fridge, and I tell you, you know what I mean, you eat what I put in here now, how that make you feel? Like, what did that do to you?
It makes me angry. Why would you want to do that?
It makes you angry. It makes you angry.
Yeah.
Yeah. I trip because it's exactly what's happening. That's exactly, and they're not coming in our fridges, but they coming in our communities and putting the food that we gotta put in our fridges there.
So can I say this though?
It's a you know what I mean? Is it not a? Is it you know what I mean? Is it not a?
But am I angry enough to want to see change?
There you go. Give me some, shorty. That's it though.
There you go.
No, the reason I'm saying that is because on some real stuff.
No, sir, that was for real. I was for real.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. Like, please do your thing, but that's the thing. What you just talked about, what Lee lifted up, that's what we dealing with. We just don't see it that way. And because we don't see it that way, I don't know that we're doing enough to make the changes. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's interesting though because even adding to that, like even using the example of cleaning out Ashley's fridge. If y'all know, Ashley cook a lot of asparagus and salmon. Salmon. I'm sorry, Ashley cook a lot of asparagus and salmon in her joint.
It's not salmon.
No, she called it salmon.
No,
it's
salmon.
Both. It's salmon and salmon. Both of them.
Salmon.
It's all the same.
It's salmon. But no, but even referring to that, right?
It's not salmonella.
That's a crime, man, to do something like that, right? And it's crazy how we can say it a crime at that level, but we can't say it a crime at the level of community. We can't say it a crime of people like literally moving into our neighborhoods and feeding us what they want, and our blood pressure kicking through the roof. You know what I mean? So when we talk about, you know what I mean, I'm not, trying to be funny, but you know what I mean, everything, you know what I mean, salt, pepper, ketchup.
Right.
All of that, man.
And I was just in the
How much 69?
We said that in songs now,
I was just in the car out getting me a fish sandwich, and I was just looking like, what if we just sit out here and just pass those flyers like, yo, let's shut this place down, let's get something help.
Yeah.
How many people would actually be like, all right, let me do it? Like, who's listening? How do we get them to listen or even want to have the thought of closing the big carryout down? Like, where does it start?
Right. And it's to the point of dependency where people be, if it is removed or taken out, it's like, what we supposed to do? Like, you know what I mean? Is it going to be to another carry out, right? You know what I mean? So, like I said, we talk about folks having an option, right? But what's the option if you don't know you have one, right? So, but working with Black Yield, thinking about what we're talking about right now, right? Just how food apartheid is like playing out in our communities, causing effects. What's the kind of stuff that you're seeing on the ground, just like in the middle of the work?
So, I mean, some of the stuff that I talked about in terms of the problem, right? That's, I think Ashley made a good point, right? Because years ago, I have been in a position where I'm thinking about like, yo, what would that look like? You know what I'm saying? If you say, look, yo, at least for the next 60 days, next 90 days, we not buying no chicken boxes from none of the, the stores that selling chicken or whatever. And if folks need chicken, then we'll come up with an alternative. We employ somebody who do dinners already, and you can get your, you can support that. There's like that kind of stuff that, that I've thought about. And I think largely to the point that I think Ashley is making largely is that it may be very few people who are willing to do that. But I think that comes with trust and that comes with pressure. The thing is, when we're organizing, we can't afford to be nice. And I mean that. Like, if we not nice when we dealing in general, like about, like, people ain't generally nice. Right. Like, people are good people, but they not nice. Moody. You know what I'm saying? People gonna be who we are, right? Yeah. So my thing is, if we sitting there, talking with folks, like, for example, there was a sister, we at Black Yield, we have a farm. And our farm produces produce, but then we also get produce and value-added products, or like honeys and stuff like that from black farmers, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So we selling it. And this mama comes up, yo. Shout out to us.
Shout out to us, man.
But this mama comes up with a half and half. If you're not from Baltimore and you're a person who, like, from somewhere else, y'all call them Arnold Palmers. If you're from somewhere else, it's lemonade and iced tea. You know what I'm saying? Or in other words, it's diabetical liquiditis. It's a sugary drink.
Domino
right? So like, but the thing is, like, they run at least, and I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but they run at least somewhere like a jumbo half and half where we from. You know what I mean? Run for like $2.50. So she got jumbo half and half at like 11 a.m. in the morning and come over to our produce stand and with the jumbo half and half, like, yo, man, they out here selling this produce. Look at all this. This is something that should be free. And I'm like, Did you say that to the Korean person that you just
Real.
bought the half from?
Real.
So my thing is, I don't blame people for that. I don't blame people for that, because the thing is, we've been taught that fresh stuff should be free. It's not a commodity.
Right.
It's not something you should spend your money with black people on. I can't be mad at you for that. So that means we gotta apply pressure. The pressure that I applied in that circumstance was, well, what makes you think that if you just spent $2 at the Korean spot, why it's supposed to be free here? She sucked her teeth and walked up. But when I say applying pressure, like, yo, we gotta do that.
Yeah.
We gotta make sure that people understand that, like, yo,
Right.
if we're gonna change the conditions, we gotta recognize and be compassionate on our people to say, look, yo, if you never practice changing the oil, why would you expect to do it right the first time?
Right.
You gotta practice what you expect to get good at.
That's real.
So my thing is, if we never practice owning our own shit, I can cuss on it, right?
Yeah, you can.
If I ain't never like own nothing, how the f you gonna tell me own something? It's a foreign concept. What I should expect as an organizer is that in the first place, it's gonna be like, oh, can I say my name? I can't say that. Or people gonna be like, yo, like, nah, like, own what? Own, like, you tripping. I expect that.
Right.
If I don't expect that, then I'm a fool.
Right.
Not the next person. What I gotta do is just come back the second time, shorty, and be like, look, you ain't buy no greens last time, but they good. You ain't getting nothing. Like, just messing with people. And then when they come back, recognize that a year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, we probably only sold 3 carats, but we still here. You feel me?
Right.
Like, that's the thing, yo. And if people can see us doing that, then that's how we build power, yo. That's how we build power. So on the ground, that's what we see happening, and we see these types of things happening all the time where people walk past our farm, but now they like, what y'all got over there, right? It's the consistency, yo. It's the being present when people know. So when you walk down the street, I ain't just little EJ no more. It's like, yo, that's the little vegetable dude right there. That's the farm nigga right there. Right? So like that's the thing for me that, like, you know what I'm saying, that's just real. After doing this for years, it's like, look, you gonna see our face, shorty. You gonna recognize that we wasn't playing, we wasn't just talking about it. Because the flip side of that, enough white people, enough government agencies, enough people said, we gonna do. We only sound like them.
Right.
You feel me? So like, my thing is, we gotta be consistent, we gotta apply pressure, and we gotta show our people like, yo, we mean this for real. We gotta teach. And we gotta teach in ways that that are not like putting it down people's throat, like with this podcast platform, with social media, with playing cards, whatever platform we got to get the message out there, we're gonna do it.
Right.
You feel me? And that's what it comes down to. So that's what I'm seeing on the ground in terms of how we're addressing food apartheid, and then in terms of how we live in it. I talked about some of that, like, and I think that you make a good point, and Ashley make a good point. Like, yo, somebody coming to your house, telling you how you gonna feed your family and feed yourself, put the food in there, tell you how you should cook it, tell you if it's healthy or not, tell you when you gonna cook, tell you how many meals a day you should have, how much water and what you should drink with it. That's not only disrespectful, it's dehumanizing. If it is at the independent level, then it is at the macro level, at the community level. You feel me? Real. And the only thing that's different is that our individualistic society would say, no, I get to do in my house. Then why don't we get to do in our own community? Yeah.